Welcome agents to this Ingress video where we're going to have a look at something that I've been wanting to show you for a long time, and you can see it on the Intel map there. It is what to do with your battle beacons if you are a core member. It is the most efficient use of a battle beacon that you can possibly imagine, with 39 portals on the spine, one opposing anchor, and a brilliant field engine. So to start off with, we're going to have a look at my stats before we actually run this field engine, and the overall AP is 239,156,711. The amount of fields I currently have is 48,366, and then links on the connector medal is 57,775. So we're going to have a look at how much that increases over the course of this video, over the course of the use of one battle beacon. And of course, if we've gone to all the trouble to find a spine that can run a battle beacon as efficiently as possible, of course we're going to look at using an Apex. So let's put that one on, and then it's a case of finally putting that battle beacon on and waiting until the timer runs out, and then finally we can get going with this field engine. Fortunately, it's not going to take that long, and we can go through a few of the other things about this field engine and just about how tricky it is, especially with Machina, to actually find an area where this is suitable. So obviously Machina has been spawning all over the place, including the place where I'm currently residing at the moment as well, and it gets a bit tricky because there are lots of links in the way. But fortunately, sometimes around about anomalies, they start killing off the Machina, and in this instance that's what had happened. I then saw that this area was really nice and grey, and at the same time there was no interference or no activity from people on my faction and none for the opposition as well, and so I decided to go to work pretty early in the morning. As you can see then, we've got lots and lots of keys because I've been out farming and linking all day as well, and so you've got to make sure that you have plenty to run this field engine. I've got at least 6 for every single one of those portals, just so I can run this battle beacon and get as much out of it as possible. I did that not necessarily from waiting very long. I used a huge amount of heat sinks, so I would hack it, and then I would put a heatsink on and hack it, and then another heatsink and hack it again. Finally, every single time it'd be a glyph hack, and every single time I'd be requesting keys just to make sure that I could get as many out of them as possible, and that I wasn't wasting too much time hanging around and waiting for the timer to reset where I could hack it again. The other tricky thing then was actually finding a place where there was a high street with enough portals on it that you could actually go through it and link 39 portals on the spine to those two anchors, those two opposing anchors. And there aren't a lot of places like that, but fortunately this is one of those places, and I was being very opportunistic and getting there as early as possible. As you can see there, I was also taking out an ADA, a virus in this case, because once I'm done, then I'm going to want to virus this portal, and then I get another throw for this field engine as well, regardless of the battle beacon or not. And the great thing about this one then was the day after that I actually used this field engine, another person from my faction must have seen what I was doing and must have had a look at that spine and decided to come up, kill both the anchors, and use the spine to actually field over the neighboring city, which was really quite impressive and a really quite nice use of that spine that I'd set up as well. So I was really happy about that too. With 20 seconds left to go there, and it's worth mentioning also that there is another person with me, another agent in my faction, because obviously I'm going to need 2 more SoftBank Ultra links on this portal every single time I throw those links, because without them then I'm not going to get the full 40 links or 39 portals on the spine and the opposing anchor, 40 links total, every single time I throw as well. And there we see the timer's just elapsed, and I'm firing despite the fact that it looks green. Actually it's not, and it's blue, and there you can see it's finally starting to get taken down. A very quick redeploy then. It doesn't really matter where in relation you are to this anchor. Obviously it's going to be smashed every single time that the battle beacon turns over, and that means that it's really not in your interest to deploy it effectively and far out away from that portal. As you can see, there is 4 SoftBanks there. I didn't deploy them all, and now comes the search. So the really nice search for the opposing anchor before I start linking to the spine, and there it was. You can see it there with all of those links coming off it. Easily enough after that then, it's just a case of trying to find the furthest away link, but there is a little slight problem with that, which you'll see in between this throw of the field engine and the next one. And namely, that is occasionally when you've got keys out and the keys are very far away, the game doesn't seem to understand whether or not you can actually make that link, and it offers you that link regardless of whether or not you can throw it, because there's links in between it. And it just is a little bit frustrating because you're trying to throw your links, you're trying to find the furthest portal away, and yeah, you know, they come up, they appear, and you don't want them in your inventory, so I'll be putting them away later. But as you can see here, we've got all those links being thrown. You can probably tell that I'm going quite quick, but at the same time I'm allowing a little bit of space between every link thrown as well. If you just try and go as quickly as possible and fire all of those links off really quickly, sometimes you get these weird errors and the links say they throw and they don't actually throw, or weirdly enough they can end up throwing out of order and you don't get all the fields that you want to get as well. And by throwing to the opposing anchor first and then furthest away and then coming back step by step, portal by portal along the spine, that is ensuring that the first throw you get obviously a link to the opposite anchor, the second throw makes the big field over it, and any subsequent throws then you get 2 fields each time. So really nice and really efficient, and we'll see how many fields I get very shortly. As you can see here, I'm sorting through my keys between now and when the battle beacon resets and turns blue, because obviously I want to get rid of all of these keys from my inventory so it doesn't cause me any kind of frustration the next time I'm trying to set up that field engine, throw into the spine and throw into the furthest away portal. So with a few seconds left then before the next flip, we can have a look at some stats and see how I've gone up in terms of AP, fields and links. So you can see the new total for my AP is 239,382,441, which is a gain of 225,730 AP. When it comes to fields, I've gone up 77, which is pretty much perfect when it comes to this, and I can expect that every single time so long as nothing goes wrong with the throwing. And then when it comes to links as well, pretty predictably in this case you've got 40 links, because that is the maximum outbound links that you can get on a portal with 4 soft banks. You can see now as well, when you click on that portal, around that portal are all those keys. So every time that this anchor starts flipping back to blue and destroying all the links, you're going to get some of those keys back from that anchor, and yeah, it's going to start to amass, which is really quite a nice sight to see. And at the end, if you want to keep running this, then obviously pick up all those keys and you can just do it again. But obviously you're going to have to wait for the cooldown period after a battle beacon has been on this portal. So it's not as immediate as put another one on immediately. It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. Alternatively, if there was another portal right next door to it, obviously you could, instead of flipping it and leaving the fields up, you could instead actually have another portal and use another battle beacon on that one as well. And occasionally, like I've done in the past, you can run 2 in tandem as well. I'm not sure I'd recommend it when it comes to 40 links. I'm pretty sure it'd be possible, but you'd be working at a really quick pace at the same time. And so is it advisable? Maybe, maybe not. I'd like to see it done, definitely. I'm going to come across a quick snag here. As you can see, outbound link limit reached, and oh my god, there is only 2 SoftBank Ultra links on this portal. And so at this moment I'm there thinking, is that me? No, unfortunately the person that I'm with was probably idling and enjoying some social media whilst they needed putting on. So a quick reminder and we're back up again, and because actually you get more than enough time in this case to run it once, then we can just keep going with no incident, and I'm still going to get all those fields and all those links. One thing that I was really happy when it comes to setting this one up was that every single link on this spine is successive. There's no messing around. It's actually just every single key is in order by distance. So it's not a case of having any split fields or having to mess around with the order of keys to get the maximum amount of fields, like sometimes happens with a field engine. Normal one that I use in a different location to this one has that, and a lot of split fields means that you're actually throwing two links and then going back, and you have to kind of juggle your keys when you're throwing to make sure you're getting the most efficient use out of your field engine every single time. And in this case, it's really quite simple. Instead of doing that, it's just throw this one, then the next, then the next, and there's no messing around with the order of all those links on that spine. So that's the next run of the field engine over. As you can see, it's flipped to blue, and a few more keys on the ground after this, I'm sure. And it's just a case of running through a few more times and then a virus at the end, as you'll see. So I'll quit the narrative for the time being. I'll let you watch, and you can have a look, and then we'll come back and have a look at the stats, the overall stats at the end, and we'll also have a look at the virus part towards the end as well. And as you can see, the final phase is almost complete, and you're going to get some fireworks very shortly. Clearly I'm firing some bursters because I'm anticipating it to turn blue, and that's not what's going to happen, obviously. So instead what I need to do is have a quick peek at the Ada, and then it's a case of turning it blue, killing it, and running it one final time. It is worth noting then, doing this will leave all those fields up and a very, very tempting target for any opposition agent, so you can bear that in mind if you're in a really busy area. But I suppose if you're in a really busy area, then probably you wouldn't have the chance to do this in the first place. So if you want to know about timings then, just in case you've got lots and lots of very rare battle beacons to use, and I know that a lot of core subscribers have a huge amount of these things and don't really know what to do with them, then it's going to take 4 hours to reset. So it's 4 hours until you can actually run this again with another very rare battle beacon. At the same time, it's worth noting that it's 4 hours from the victory beacon being displayed, so not from the start when you initially deploy it, it's actually when the victory happens, and then you've got 4 hours wait, a 4 hour cooldown. And obviously what you saw me do was I used an Ada, a virus, so that I could kill all these fields and run it one final time. But obviously the virus cooldown is approximately an hour nowadays, depending on the events that are going on. And if I was to virus it and find another portal that is local that could also use this spine, then what I could do instead of using this again from this same anchor is I could just go to another portal nearby, and then I can put another very rare battle beacon on there and just run the whole lot again. Obviously it would take a lot more key farming in the first place, so there is a little bit more work to do in that kind of regard, but it means that you can use it very efficiently, and you can just keep going further and further and further out, finding more and more anchors and using the same set, the same spine every single time. But yeah, obviously you're going to need a few keys to be able to do that every single time that you run this. But personally, as somebody that doesn't always have core, usually I only get core for anomalies and anomaly play, that's all. So I've got the extra inventory space for more bursters. Then I don't really have that many in the way of very rare battle beacons, and this recording is basically why I've used one, so that I could actually show you a 40 link or a 39 spine field engine using a very rare battle beacon. And then in terms of what I'll use them for next, well, if I challenge myself to do something a little bit interesting, maybe 100 million AP in a day, then I'm going to keep them for that, as well as all the apex that I've been collecting over the last, I don't know, a few years as well, just so that I can do something a little bit more interesting rather than keep running very rare battle beacon field engines. However, for those of you that really like your field link ratio, it's not something that I look at, but if you do, this is pretty efficient and almost as efficient as it gets. If you want to make it a little bit more efficient, you could always have somebody on the opposing anchor that throws the original link, and then you could also have somebody at the top of the spine throwing the first field, and you could have 2 more balls on that spine and get an exact ratio of 2 fields per link if you're into that kind of thing. Anyway, let's have a look at the final stats and see how well I've done. You can see then that I'm on 240,276,861, which is a gain of 1,120,150. In terms of fields, I've gone up 385 and I'm now on 48,751. And then finally, when it comes to links on that connector medal, it is 57,975, which is very unsurprisingly plus 200 links to that medal, which you'll see again when it comes to my stats on agent stats when I scroll down here, and you can see all of that AP gain and very shortly the amount of links and the amount of fields that I gained too. So I enjoyed this one. This one was a good project, and I'm really glad that I could bring it to you. With that being said, then all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching. I appreciate that. If you've got any comments, then of course I'll respond just like normal. If you want to @ me and you can have a look at my stats now, then that's absolutely fine as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.